Mark Holland in Boston says it's 25 degrees. It's too cold to sail in Boston.
Oh, yeah.
Not on the Gold Coast in Australia, where Greg Phillips is, saying greetings to all of us. Hi, Greg. Rick Bannero from Chile, Connecticut. Well, just down the coast from Boston, where it's wind gusts are 20-plus knots, air temp 31. Wind chill around 9 Fahrenheit. That's chilly.
Yes.
Tier DeYoung down in SoCal, where it's probably nice and warm. Fritz Mueller in sunny, chilly, and windy Miami. There's our friend from Pakistan.
Yes.
Sohail Latif is on. Hello, Sohail. Sohail, I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly.
Indeed.
Nice to see you on again. 2 shows in a row.
That's nice.
Julia, as we're live from Studio B, we count this one down to get it across the proverbial starting line. Welcome, everybody. Gordon Smith saying good evening from a rain. Why am I on that shot, Julie? I got a black box over my shoulder.
Oh, there you go.
Good evening from rain-soaked Denmark. Gordon Smith is saying.
Indeed.
Magnus, the magnificent Magnus Wheatley. Too cold in cows as well. Greetings to us and everyone. Magnus, thank you. We're going to feature Magnus a little bit in the show today. Chris Exley, hello everyone from freezing Salem, Mass, which is just north of Boston. Fritz Mueller, we mentioned, down in Miami. Welcome, everybody. As usual, we're live from Studio B here in San Francisco's beautiful Marina District. Not a bad day today, Julie.
Actually, sunny and warm in the 60s.
So we look outside the window here, and is it really that warm?
Yep. All day.
I've not been outside, but a little bit of overcast there as I look out the studio window. I trust you are well, Madam Commodore.
As well as it can be expected.
I gave you my cold,
Yes,
didn't I? You got my cold on the Friday show. I'm feeling quite a bit better, thank you. And
Thank
I'm
you.
sorry to have given it to you. Christopher Gillingham in Leamington on the south coast of the UK. Alan Long is back in lovely, chilly Lago Vista, Texas.
Where is Lago Vista?
Lago Vista. Tell us where Lago Vista is, Alan. Nice to have you on. Pedro, Foiling Sailor, we were talking about. You know who I was talking with Pedro Foiling Sailor about yesterday at the Monday Lunch Bunch?
Yeah.
And we were talking about the dear passing of our dear friend, Ted Eden. But big turnout for our Monday Lunch Bunch. And Dick Anderson has met, at least online, has met Peter Stevenson, a.k.a. Pedro Foiling Sailor. And Dick's trying to help Peter out with his new acquisition. So if you're just hearing that for the first time, Pedro, I did indeed have a nice conversation with Dick Anderson, a local here, and America's Cup winner on Columbia in 1864, something like that.
Almost.
I always tease Dick. 1964, I think he was Columbia's win. He was a young kid on the deck.
And quite handsome, I might add.
Well, do you think he's still not?
No, because we're all older and pudgier.
Well, he's also, you don't like facial hair. He's fully bearded. John Emmett, it's kind of cold with no heating in at the family farm. Well, take care, John. Thanks everybody for joining us. Show number 798 for Tuesday, the 7th. This is our second show of the new year, our 9th year, Julia.
Oh, yes.
Our 9th year. It's hard to believe. Here we go. Let's keep carrying on here. What are we celebrating today, Julia?
Hard to say.
You want to take a guess at what that is below the lower third? It's actually a month. We're celebrating the month called National Clean Up Your Computer Month.
Oh, okay.
Giving your trusty machine a little TLC by banishing the sneaky dust bunnies, ensuring it purrs along smoothly. But it's really to clean up the computer inside and out. Hello, Joe Cool. Yeah, you made it. Thanks for the show, and Happy New Year's to you too, sir. It is National Clean Up Your Computer Month, and apropos, I did have a bit of a conversation with one of our super foes, which I'm going to play in a moment. Computers, we have all had to deal with them one way or another. We love computers, at least I do. God knows we have enough of them here in Studio B. From video games to social media, these technological creations also come with an important note. If we want to keep our computers running at optimum capacity, we have to keep them clean. Both the components and the internal memory have to be cleaned regularly if we want our machines to operate properly. So on that note, let us look into the ideals of a National Clean Up Your Computer Month. Well, suffice to say, if your computer has a fan and has input, as most of them do, you got to be sure that there's no dust coming around. I mean, the bottoms of these supercomputers over here, not literally supercomputers, have to be dusted.
I just unearthed a computer that I haven't even seen for 25 years.
Well, I hope you're not going to try to use it.
Oh, I am.
Why?
I have to see what's on it.
Oh, you FOMO, fear of missing out.
And I'm sure there are pictures on it.
Well, what, porn?
Well, wouldn't you like to know?
No, I don't want to. I don't want to know. But it is important to clean up the hard drive. I do that every week, but I also have a little bit of a tip that I gave to Rick Mannero, who had a problem with his computer here. And Rick, like we are here, we produce a lot of content, hours and hours of television, and those gigabytes of television, the slideshows, the keynotes that we put together for these shows. Again, gigabytes of data. I save all of them, but I also then save them to a solid state drive off the main computer, so I can keep that hard drive clear, keep cleaning it up. And when Rick had his problem, Rick Mannero, our super fuzzy, previously the fuzzy fuzzy, I suggested to him that he might want to do what we do here in Studio B. So we did. That's Rick Mannero. And I just want to note before I go into the video that I sent him with some advice that I think is probably applicable for everybody. Note that his Burgee, do you know that yacht club, Julia?
Mm-mm.
That is the esteemed, not Stanford, not like your university, the Stamford with an M, Connecticut.
Oh, that's
yacht
what that
club.
is. Yeah.
But I know their Burgee, and I know that's not correct to be angled like that. There's their Burgee that's correct. And I pinged Rick this morning and said, Whiskey Tango Foxtrot. And he said, well, it took me at least a year or two to notice it, and only after a salty member asked me why was I wearing that goddamn shirt. Apparently that shirt, Julia, was produced by the tennis pro at the Stanford Yacht Club. It's a big club with a lot of, it's got a pool and a tennis court and so on.
Mm-hmm.
And the tennis pro did not know the proper Burgee for the Stanford
It looks better that way.
Yacht Club. It does? So what? On this shirt, Rick said, well, it was on eBay for $12 in a new plastic bag, so we bought it. Here's the advice, just a couple minutes of computer-related advice I gave Rick, and I think probably any number of you will appreciate. Happy New Year, Rick. This is a private video for you.
Yeah, private.
I was thinking about you as I was doing my traditional, regular year-end cleanup, and what I have attached to my main computer, the Apple Studio, which is sitting down there, but any computer that you use, I have a Samsung T7, which is a USB-C to USB-C. Just plugs in and it sits there all year. And I put the year on it, and I do one a year. It's a terabyte SSD, solid state drive, attached to the computer, and it sits there, and I save files into it. All the shows, all the keynotes that make up the show, and anything else that I do that I really want to have saved. And I'm not very fancy about it. I just shove it all in there because with search functions today, it's so easy to find anything on any of these drives. I've got one of these for every year for I don't know how long, 4, 5, 6 years, and crappier ones since before that. And I've just now transferred from the hard drive of the computer of the Mac Studio over to this thing, all of the files I wanted to save for 2024, and I'll now put this in a fireproof bag here in the apartment. So if Julia's townhouse burns down, this thing, along with my passport and a few other things, will be saved in the fireproof bag.
Good.
And I was thinking about you as I've now put my 2025. So I've substituted for taking this one off and put the 2025 Samsung T7 solid state drive. They're only $100, give or take. And just did that and was thinking of you.
Good idea.
Ciao for now. So that's for Rick Bannerow. And again, you can save stuff to it it just is sitting there on the computer, so you can save to anything you want to it. And every now and then you go through and clean out the most recent shows and the most, I keep the current months on and take the last months and clean them off. So your hard drive stays reasonably tidy. And you don't have to do all this file folder stuff and all that. You don't have to do it because you can find anything. And it's amazing how many times I'll go get the old last year's or even 2, 3 years, 4 years ago, take that off that solid state drive out of the burn bag, as I call it, and plug it in and say, oh, there's the file from the, Governor's Cup 4 or 5 years ago. It's very helpful. There is the drive. In fact, they're on sale as we speak. I noticed this morning when I
for $99.
did the screen grab for their 38, almost 40% off for $99. And they come, if you want one that's got rubber padding all over it for a few bucks more, you can do that. But I commend them to you. And every streamer I know has a system like this, or because we're creating so much content, as are photographers like Rick Bannerow. He's got gazillions of photos. And, he saves them, I don't know, in RAW format or whatever, but they're big files. David James, the EU just put in place a platform for the last month. Hello from just off Necker Island. Nice. John Hanfield. By the way, all of you in SoCal, Julie, are you following the fire or the windstorms down there? It's supposed to be pretty awful. I know John Sangmeister sent us a note this morning. Others are, I see that... Rick, who was it? Fog Machine. Lance Burke is watching L.A. County and Ventura County fire dispatch because it's pretty wild times. They're having a once in 100-year windstorm down there, and of course, wind causes fires.
I know a couple of people living there that I've been in touch with.
Well, in any event, if you want to save yourself headaches, get one of these little drives, plug it into your computer, and leave it there and let it use your backup program if you want to do it automatically or save stuff that's important to you as you go along. It's really, really easy. Amazon, Samsung, and I have nothing to do with Samsung. Don't own any of their stocks. T7 portable solid state drive, a terabyte for $99. Clean up your computer month indeed. So a little Tom's tech tip there. We're also celebrating all of you who are FOSI. We appreciate very much those of you who support us, whether by watching the show or give us a few bucks a month via Patreon, patreon.com/join/Sailing Illustrated to become a patron. And who else is on here? Julie Aarons checking in from snowy, cold Cleveland. The middle part of this country from, Kansas and Missouri and across have gotten a lot of snow and are going to get a bunch more. Washington, D.C. And so on. Clayton Embley is in that section, in that swath of snow, presumably in Kentucky. Maybe once a decade, Fog Machine. So I thought it was even windier and going to be a hellacious windstorm, even more so than the once in a decade.
I think it depends on where you are.
For sure.
Meaning there's quite a difference.
Everybody talks about the weather and nobody does anything about it, Julia.
You don't?
No, I don't.
Oh, my goodness.
I'm from Michigan. We get, 4 seasons of weather like they do in New Zealand, 4 seasons of weather in, a day or a couple days. Chip off the old block. This is Mattias Coutts. I mentioned on the show on Friday that Leslie and I used to babysit for the Coutts kids. Not often, but we did a few times when Russell and his bride were out and about in Valencia. We were living in Valencia. And that was, you were asking me, how long ago was that? And he must have been, was he 10 at the time? When this is in Valencia, call it 07, either side of 07, 010, maybe 08, 09. So maybe it was even closer to 010. And this is now 14 years later. So he's got to be 21, 2, 3, early 20s, I would guess.
Yeah.
And he's leading the Moth Worlds. Apparently a hell of a good sailor, like obviously his old man, like his dad. And it's impressive.
Yes, indeed.
And what he's going on. We'll feature that today in the show. Hasn't it been pretty windy even in Studio B so far? Well, Stingray. Of course.
Internally.
Of course. Julia, push that mic right up in front of your mouth, would you please? And then I won't have to turn up your mic.
There I go again.
That's better. Yeah, okay. Bravo Zulu. We'll start the show out with a Bravo Zulu. We are going to celebrate this with the winners now of the 505 Worlds. We talked about this at some length on Friday's show, the 2025 505 Worlds. I guess it's the 50th anniversary in Australia and in Adelaide, and co-hosted by the Adelaide Sailing Club and one or two other clubs. Apparently a hell of a good event. It took place the 2nd through the 7th, so it ended today, and we've got a video, 69 entries from 7 nations, big event, terrific class, great sailors from across the globe. And let me go back. Here is the video, I think. Where's my video? There's my video.
I can hardly speak, Jordan. Yeah. So excited. Can't believe it. I cannot believe it. Been trying so long. Yeah. And this bloke, Buckley's the champion, eh? Loving the bits. Yeah. Oh, we're so happy.
It's always been our goal. We've always wanted to get there, and we've done it. And we're so stoked. And you know, I'm sailing with one of the best bloody helmsmen in Australia, to be honest with you, mate. And he did all this boat, this setup. You know, I had a glamour ride. I just flew in, and fucking hell, I owe him heaps. It's just fantastic.
Marshy's trained really hard over it, even though he hasn't been here. He's worked his butt off. He's the fittest he's ever been, I reckon. He's so fit. Yeah. I've had some wonderful people that helped me out crewing when he wasn't here, get the boat up to speed. So there's a bunch of people that just helped us out. Oh, absolutely.
Absolutely.
Doesn't get much better than this,
yeah,
huh?
Absolutely.
Extremely disappointing, I guess, is how to explain it. I mean, of course, we're still happy that we managed to, get second in the Worlds. But defending it, it's all, the goal was always to come here and defend the title. But credit to Sandy, those guys sailed really well, and we just basically left too many points out on the course.
At the first start, they got abandoned. We had him lined up pretty nicely, and then second one sort of just got the match racing sort of stopped, and we were just going for a good start, and then just sort of messed up the start a little bit, and ended up getting bounced out to the right, which came back pretty deep coming off the line, about 2 minutes off the line, and then found a little shift up the top right, got sort of back into it, but just wasn't enough to do what we need. No, we'll be around hopefully for a few years yet.
I mean, just look at Howie, who, he had a good result here. I'm not sure where he actually finished, but he's in his 70s, and you can't write him off. So you can sail this class, from teenage years all the way up into your 70s, and that's one of the beauties of this class, the diversity of ages and male and female, and yeah, it's just it's a great class, and it's sailable by a lot of different people.
Yep, yeah, indeed. Very happy with that.
We had 5th in Weymouth, 4th in Poland, 2nd in Cork, and 4th in San Francisco. So we're slowly filling out the top 5. Yeah, we haven't done much sailing the last 18 months. So
these guys
we've been getting better each day, and trying to get head back into the rig setup. And some of the starting was tricky. So we've had some good recoveries, and yeah, going forward through the fleet at times. So it's been really positive. The weather's better than being at home at the moment. So we're in the right part of the world.
Yeah, a 7-foot crew does help. John Emmett saying Adelaide, a terrific place to sail. I've never sailed there, but I've been there for a kart races. Gordon Smith, a boat that is comfortable to sit in. Please note, dinghy designers, yes, it is. Fabulous boat, fabulous class, great set of sailors. 70-year-old. This is, Howie Hamlin here from the States, who's from SoCal. And bravo Zulu to all of them. Here are the results, if you can see them on my small chart. Sandy and Paul, as you know, were first. They're Australians from South Australia. Peter Nicholas and Luke Payne from out in WA were second. Nathan, Bachelor, Nate, and Sam from Great Britain, Friends of John's, were third. And on down to Howie and Andy in fifth. And then all the way down to the former world champs as well, St. Francis members, Julia, Mike Martin, and Adam Lowry. And terrific sailors, great class, well done. Bravo Zulu to all, including and especially Sandy Higgins and Paul March, your 2025 505 world champions. Let's move on now to the Coach's Corner and John Emmett's regular report. Coaching Corner with John Emmett. And he is doing another walkabout and is a fuzzier Fozzie than ever, Julia.
Uh-oh. Oh, he is.
Hi, Tom, Julia, and all the Fozzie. Well, it seems, at least in the UK, everything is back to normal and another normal working day. We say it's freezing, but you can see the water in the background, so it's obviously not that cold here, but it's definitely woolly hat time. And for those of people who are just tuning into the show and haven't done so already, please like, share, follow, and if you're on YouTube, subscribe. You don't want to miss any of the regular content. And today I'm going to start with a big bravo Zulu to a young lady with a lot of talent. That's Hattie Rogers, who already is the Moth world champion, female world champion. And I think, it's really important to showcase the men and the women at the top of the sport, because in every class that I can think of off the top of my head, there's more men at the top. In the particular class, there's more men competing and so on and so forth. So I think it's really important to encourage the female participation in every way that you possibly can. And the reason I say that Hattie is the world champion when the Moth Worlds is still going on is because actually she's the only female sailor who's made it into the Gold Fleet. So that's really no mean achievement. And she's obviously worked very hard to get there. And I'm sure, having actually secured that particular title, she's not going to be resting on her laurels, because, she's just going to want to go out and do the best she can. But yeah, to be the only female in that Gold Fleet, that's one hell of achievement, and something she'll work to for the next 2 years. And so for the previous 2 years, and I think, that pathway through the WASP class just really shows the future of sailing. And in fact, if we look at the very leaders of the championship, for sure that Sail GP, AC, future talent, because I've said before, the cat's out the bag for foiling. Nobody's going to put it away, and that is the high performance side of our sport. And there's probably no better pathway than coming through the Moth class. So I think arguably it's the most competitive non-Olympic dinghy. And I think, if I was a leader of one of the teams, I'd be watching the performance very carefully to see, who are the stars of the future going to be. And I think the nicest thing about the Moth class is it actually brings a lot of top sailors together from all walks of life. So you get people from the AC teams, people from the Olympic circuit, all coming together to race at the same time. The other thing I'll be probably looking at a little bit more this year is some of the other types of foiling. I think another very accessible part of foiling is the wing foiling. In terms of accessibility on the water, it's very easy. You can actually put the kit in a rib and take it to the race course, effectively like you would do for a windsurfer, and actually easier than towing a dinghy out. And then actually you can put the whole kit on the plane to get to champion fits in the first place. So something else just making the sport even more accessible. So as I say, I'll end it now with Bravo Zulu to Hattie Rogers. Very well done. and I look forward to the overall Sailor of 2024 competition, which will be decided on the 14th of January.
Indeed, John. Thank you very much. The 14th of January, John Emmett. Get to the front of the fleet with John Emmett Sailing. We appreciate his regular reportage here. And speaking of we're going to go back and feature it, but there's a live shot from the Manly Sailing Club out there on the Whangaparo Peninsula, Whangaparo Peninsula in up north of Auckland. And it's 10:25 in the morning, and there's the ice cream truck that's getting some service there, Julia, getting some...
Great idea.
I'd be getting an ice cream. You said that at the beginning of the show when I showed you that shot. John Emmett, thank you, sir. And speaking of the 2024 Yacht Racing Person of the Year, our Sailing Illustrated inaugural first ever Person of the Year, we will be announcing that. Actually, we'll be having one last go. People are going to pitch. They're going to say, here's why I think one of these 6 sailors that have been nominated should be the winner. And then we're going to vote live. And if it takes more than one ballot, the way we're going to vote, the Superfos who are voting, we'll tell you again who they are in a moment. They will each vote for the one person they think should get the nod. And if we don't have one person with more than 50% of the votes at the end of a ballot, we'll knock off the bottom person, or if there's a tie, the bottom 2 people, and then do it again, live on the show. And all of you in the chat, whether you're Superfos or not, will be able to weigh in. And you'll ask, well, who are the Superfos? I'll show you in a moment. But they're people who have been regulars on here for years and have all appeared on the show regularly as well. Our 2024 Yacht Racing Person of the Year on the 14th of January. That's a week from today. Our show number 800, Julia.
Yes.
That's hard to believe.
Yeah, I know.
Here are the 6 nominees. Sir Ben Ainsley from Great Britain. And again, we're going to pitch them. We're going to say, and any of you want to pitch as well from the chat, please do. Next Tuesday, or even now, but next Tuesday in particular. Cole Brower also nominated. She from the USA. Pete Burling from NZL. Sir Russell Coutts from NZL. These are all people who have been nominated for having had a big impact on our sport this year, on and off the water, including Grant Dalton from New Zealand. And finally, Pinar Koskuner Genk. I don't know if I've come close to pronouncing that Turkish lady's name. She was those of you who don't know, you probably know most of the other names. That lady was the overall senior race officer, principal race officer at the Olympics Marseille in July, August this year. Apparently held it all together despite the extremely challenging conditions. Joe Holtzman is pushing for coal. Blake Middleton is also pushing for coal. So Gordon Smith says, Ian Williams and Cole Brower, and there's Ian wasn't nominated. Could have well been. He was among the finalists, but the gang that did the nominating decided that these 6 were the ones that ought to go to the final vote. And the voters are our 21 Superfosi, Rick Bannerow, Clark Chapin, myself, and I'll only vote in the case of a tie if we get to the finals and there's nobody on top. If we have two people with the same number of votes, then I might use a casting vote, or we might re-vote to see if people want to convince,
Depends on what it is.
Like
how decisive it is.
Well, if there are two people at the end, Julia.
Yeah, with equal
votes.
Mm-hmm.
But you're voting, Julia.
I am.
Christopher Gillingham, Richard Gladwell, an esteemed group, Claire Harrington, Andrew McIrvin, Alistair Murray, Andrew Pindar, James Pleasance, Ted Ryman, Hamish Ross, Jody Shields, Gordon Smith, Peter Stevenson, Graham Sweeney, Julia Vedekint, and of course Magnus Wheatley, Ed Worley, and Ligia Lily, aka Golden Lily Zhu. Show number 800, a week from today, we'll do the final pitches, live voting, and the announcement of our inaugural Sailing Illustrated Person of the Year. And we've once again revisited the topic of whether it should be a female and a male. And the majority, fairly strong majority, said, no, let's do one, see how it goes. We can always add to it next year. And of course, we chose as our group of the year on our New Year's Eve show, group of the year, yacht racing, yacht club volunteers,
Right.
particularly race management
Yes.
volunteers.
Without which we would not be alive.
Without whom, my beloved grammarian?
Oh, thank you.
Without whom? You went to Stanford. I'm
Yes.
just a simple country boy from Michigan who went to a public
yes.
school.
Oh, yes. I'm
But a
sorry.
good one. A good one. Okay, let's check in with the Vendée Globe, shall we, Julia?
Good
Vendée
idea.
Globe, this is now day 58 of the 10th edition of the Vendée Globe, and they are north, the leaders are anyway, north now of the equator.
That's amazing.
The feeling of a finish is close for some, still a lifetime away for others. For leader Charlie Delon, and he's still leading. There was a bit of a swap with Johan Richomme, a week ago, but Charlie's now back out in the lead, fairly comfortable lead. Ahead of second place, Johan Richomme, both are French, of course. The finish of their Vendée Globe does start to feel close, as they are both north of the equator. They need to remain 100% focused, of course, and know the pitfalls that have befallen skippers before in the final phase of the solo nonstop race around the world, but tomorrow could be their last full Wednesday at sea, for example. In a week's time, they should be well into the Bay of Biscay and dealing with the final sprint to the line. And in a week's time.
God.
And right now, although Dalin, skipper of massive Santé Prévoyance, is 115 miles ahead of Richomme on Paprika Arkea, it is still too close to call. As the sailors gather at 10:30 in the morning at the Moth Worlds in Manila. Nice to have that beautiful live shot there.
Yes.
But back to the Vendée Globe. Here is the third place dude. And that, of course, is Sebastian Simon, Group Dubril, did we decide, who is in third place. He crossed the equator this morning. Off the coast of Brazil, the main big group of pursuers are battling to the far south, well behind Sebastian. Benjamin Ferrer, Mona duel for a job, 20th, has rounded Cape Horn, so he's at the tail end of those in the Atlantic. That group. For him and the group behind him, meaning still over in the Pacific or in the Southern Ocean, is to set up early and well for a nasty depression which will sweep across the Andes and into the South Atlantic on Thursday. So they're still down there where the weather can be pretty nasty. There's the map. And you can see the guys again up top, north of the equator. This is the leader's even off the top. This is that next group, the group there from 4th through 10th. And that is the group led by... even more open is the battle for 4th down to 10th, and there's been a reshuffle at Cabo Frio north of Rio. Short-term gains are with the skippers who have elected to stay to the left or west, closer to the rum line. So Jeremy Bayou on Charal is in 4th now. Sam Goodchild, vulnerable, in 5th, and Boris Herman on Malizia Sea Explorer is in 6th. But while their gain may be short-term and will depend on their ability to work back to the east progressively to find the southeasterly trade winds, Nico Lundvin on Wholesome PRB and Paul Mealhat on Biotherm continue their investment to the east, largely avoiding the worst of the ridge of high pressure and light winds, but it is not clear which group will come out on top.
Yeah, I've been watching that.
And there is Jeremy Bayou on Charal in 4th, and he's a long way behind the leader, north of 2,000 miles behind the leader. Up north of the equator. Here is the rest. 11th through 20th is Benjamin Dutroux. 1st through 10th is, of course, Charlie, Johan, Sebastian, Jeremy, Sam. Boris, Thomas, Rouillan in 7th. Justine Metro, the top female, has worked her way up to 8th from, 10th, I think, on Friday. Paul Mealhat in 9th, and Nicholas Lundvin in 10th. And now 11 through 20, Benjamin Clarice, Samantha Davies, Jean Lecam, he's moved up. Now in 14th, Damien Seguin, Romain Atanasio, Alain Rura, Isabel Jashka, Giancarlo Pedotti, and Benjamin Ferrer. As we said, Jean Lecam is in 14th, and Conrad Coleman has also worked his way up. He is now in 22nd, up from 28th, I think he was last week. So Bravo Zulu to Conrad, whom we're following. And Bravo Zulu to the whole gang. This race has been fun to follow, and thank you to all of you who encouraged us to follow it, right, Julia?
Right.
I feel so bad I gave you that cold.
I know. I don't get colds.
I know, and you rarely do, but I think you got it here in Studio B last Friday from me. Let's carry on, shall we, to this day in history. And I'll bring some audio up for that slide. 7th of January in shall I cut to your camera, or do you want me to leave you alone? Cut to your camera, the poor gal.
Sneeze.
Got a sneeze and a Kleenex, and she's got her cough switch there with her left hand that she's working when you don't see it.
I have to have all digits going.
Well, you're sniffling there pretty good. What happened in 1904? Here is the first clue. We've talked about him in previous shows.
I don't remember.
Italian. Anybody of our foes, you know who that is? Anybody in the chat? Yeah, Clark Chapin looks more like in that shot. Looks more like coffee being served than ice cream. I did see a couple ice creams though. Nobody's calling for Mark Room at the Cape. Does anybody identify our man of the hour here? Marconi. Does that help?
Oh.
Guglielmo Marconi. He lived from 1874 to 1937. He was interested, of course, in science and electricity from a young age. Marconi began working on wireless telegraphy in the early 1890s. He built on Heinrich Hertz's, you would say Hertz in English, work on electromagnetic radiation, later known as radio waves. Marconi's experiments culminated in a breakthrough in 1895 when he discovered that increasing the height of his antenna extended the transmission range of his system. Who would have thought, Julia?
Oh, no.
Put your antenna. I mean, it seems so obvious, but maybe not at the time.
Not at the time.
Maybe at the time they thought it was going through the earth somehow and not through the
or just be lost.
ether. Who would have known? Now, he's famous,
Yes.
of course, for having arguably done the first sports broadcast from the 1899 America's Cup. To prove to the Americans that his system worked, he took a ship over there, I think it was his personal yacht, and covered America's Cup 10, the 10th of defense, between Columbia and Shamrock in 1899. It was the 10th challenge for the Cup. It took place, of course, in the New York City harbor. This was long before they moved out to Newport in 1930. And it consisted of a best-of-5 series between the defender Columbia, entered by, of course, New York Yacht Club, and Sir Thomas Lipton's Shamrock. Was this his second defense, or challenge rather, representing the Royal Ulster Yacht Club? For extra credit, Julia, what country was the Royal Ulster Yacht Club considered to be in 1899?
Ulster?
Ulster. No, was it in Ireland, Northern Ireland, Great Britain? What country? It was Great Britain, actually.
Was it?
Yep. GBR. This is before the partitioning and the ups and downs and back and forth. In fact, Lipton is one of the few people who's challenged for different countries because of that.
Yeah.
So there's Marconi at what was, I guess, his rig on his yacht or similar to it. It wasn't quite clear. And this is an article in Wired magazine. In 1899, he's testing ship-to-shore telegraphy so that he could send the results of the America's Cup. That photo apparently from September of 1899, August of 1899, prior to the Cup, the match, which I believe was in October of that year. Mm-hmm. Now, here's what really happened on this date. Is in Morse code, CQD, transmitted in Morse as da-di-da-di, da-da-di-da-da-di-di. As an old coder myself,
yes.
Morse coder is one of the first distress signals adopted for radio use. On this date in 1904, the Marconi International Marine Communication Company, which by then had put stations on any number of ships, including to come the Titanic, and other ships, particularly in the North Atlantic, and then some shore stations as well, they issued a Circular 57, which specified that for the company's installations beginning on the 1st of February in 2004, the call to be given by ships in distress or in any way requiring assistance shall be
CQ.
da-di-da-dit, CQD. Now, why, you ask?
Yes.
Was it CQD? Well, that's what happened on this date, but for extra credit, we're going to go into it. This day in history, the 7th of January, 1904, just a little bit more. And there's probably a lot of smart fozy on here who know some of those answers. And there is the extra credit image with the captain looking at his radio operator on the ship. So it looks like he's in distress and hoping he's sending out the right signal. How did CQD become what we now think of today as
SOS?
SOS. So despite Marconi's push for CQD, and I should stop there and say the reason, Julia, they were using CQ is because in the early days of radio telegraphy, if you wanted to send a notice out to all stations, you sent, in fact, ham radio operators still do it, CQ, 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 da-da-da-da-da-da-da, which means seeking you, CQ.
Okay. Yeah.
So that's where CQ.
I've never heard it. That's nice.
CQD meant seeking you, I'm in distress. CQD. So that's how that all came around. So, it made some sense, but not all nations were on board. The British used it, but Americans kept NC. Do you have any idea why the Americans kept NC?
No.
Because the American Navy used signal flags, and if you were in distress and needed assistance immediately, you put up code flags N and C, which meant call for help without delay. Meanwhile, the Germans, of course, had a different idea. They're using SOE, while the Italians liked the unmistakable SSS, DDD. Everybody had a different idea.
Yeah.
So the Germans finally sorted it out in 1906. They had this conference. And in 1906, delegates there came up with yet another one, realizing that something was desperately needed to get everybody on the same proverbial page. And they proposed at that conference SOS for its ease of transmission. People who aren't Morse coders probably didn't know this came from the code. ... dash or did it da 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 did it.
Yeah.
Did it da 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 did it. And it's quick. There's no pause between the letters. It was just SOS. And Morse code was simple and immediately recognizable. It was officially ratified by all conference members 2 years later, except
for the United States,
for the U.S., which took a bit longer to adopt.
Of course,
the practice. So there you have it, CQ. And one last tidbit. Did you know that this is a story, I don't know if it's apocryphal or not, but it's told all over the internet and Wikipedia and so on. As the Titanic was going down, they had one of these Marconi stations on there, and a couple of guys, the senior guy was sending out CQD, CQD.
Yeah.
And the junior guy said, and they're both Brits.
Yeah.
He's saying, maybe we ought to try SOS. So he sent out SOS, SOS. And he said, you ought to try that because that may be the last time you ever get to try the new code. Ironically, the senior guy didn't live. He was lost in the sinking. And the junior guy lived.
With the new code?
Well, the SOS guy, apparently that was part of the reason SOS, we used that on the Titanic. Yeah. And he went in and gave an interview for a lot of money to the New York Times or to one of the publications in New York when he got back there after having been picked
There was a
up.
lot of conversation about the telegrapher. Telegrapher.
Did it, did it. Tom, did you see Dawn Riley? Is it? Yes, I'm seeing that Alan Long, and I'm trying to get Dawn. I'm not trying. It's not like she's declining or anything. I'm going to get her on the show. I'm sure she will come on to talk about what she is doing going across the country here in the U.S., working on grassroots, getting grassroots sailing really stimulated here in the U.S. Marconi, yeah, a lot of people, not Tesla, Marconi. And Marconi invented macaroni. No, there was not an invasion of Greenland, although there might be before we're done here. We didn't say anything about Canada losing their prime minister. Oh, Canada. He resigned.
Yes.
People are asking, why did I put the two pictures of the Canadian maple leaf up. I had a couple spinnakers with maple leaf on my Facebook page Monday morning because we knew that he was going to resign.
Right.
At least that was the chatter, that Mr. Trudeau, young Trudeau, was going to resign. What a crouton. Good riddance to him. I know most of my, not all, but most of my Canadian sailing friends and hockey friends all are happy he is going. Ireland, Clark Chapin, that was before the math was developed that showed that there was an optimum antenna length for a given wavelength. Oh, Clark, the engineer. Ireland. No, it was not Ireland, Mark Holland. He was sailing for Great Britain. Not Ireland. Ulster is still in the UK. Karen Robinson, who's in Scotland. Thank you, Karen. Indeed, it is. Radio broadcast transatlantic. Boy, these smart people. Save our, it didn't, Joe Holtzman, SOS did not mean save our ships. It's what's called, I learned this last night putting this together. It's called not an acronym, but a backronym. Have you ever heard of a backronym?
No.
Neither had I. And a backronym is just that. When you have 3 letters or some number of letters, and they go back and figure out what it ought to mean. Save our ship is a backronym. Save our souls, which is also what some people assert SOS stood for.
Right.
It wasn't. It was simply da 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 did it da 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 did it, and it was easy, natural in the Morse.
Give me the word again.
Backronym.
Backronym.
BACK. Backronym or backronym.
Yeah.
Somebody Google that and see if I've got that right. Luca Craig, he's in Auckland on a break at work, so he's not too far from the Manly Sailing Club. There's our live shot again from there. He jumped into the show, see what's on today's agenda. Been biking morning, evening, past Sail GP. We're going to feature Sail GP in the final leg today. Their upcoming regatta in Auckland. Can see into the yacht hangar and see the boats being assembled. And Graham Sweeney knew those were the NC flags. Okay, good. Race abandoned and change of course. Blake Middleton, the race officer. And Joe Holtzman agreeing with me. You're totally right on Trudeau. What a crouton. Oh, man. SOT, 1 race left, though. The 505 Worlds, good. They decided save our souls after. Yes, indeed. That's why it's a backronym or backronym. Do, 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 da, da, da. Okay, Alan Monk. Okay, that's it. Well, we were beating that one to death. Let's go to our feature here of really chip off the old block. And this is, again, the Manly Sailing Club up in beautiful Whangaparao Peninsula, up there north of Auckland, about an hour's drive. I can't remember, having been quite a while now before I was up there, since I was up there. And a beautiful shot of, it's 10:48 in the morning, 3 hours behind us this time of year, as they're getting ready to go yacht racing at the Predict Wind International Moth World Championships. They're calling it 2024 because the pre-worlds actually started in 2024. They're at the end of the year, the 30th of December through the 9th of January. 148 entries.
Wow.
Fabulous turnout. And it's being dominated, as the magnificent Magnus Wheatley said in his blog post today to his Substack, to his Rule 69 blog. He's saying youth is taking over. He's wondering whether the Olympics are even valid anymore. We're going to have a longer discussion about that. John Emmett, I'm sure, has some views on that, as do many others of you. But Magnus is starting to make the argument, one that you and I have discussed, Julia, on this show, and more privately, is, maybe the Olympics, for a whole lot of reasons, is not as relevant. We saw the Brits have a tough Olympics this time. Yeah, the Aussies did pretty well. The Kiwis have not been doing all that well in the Olympics. Some other countries, yeah. But maybe the Olympics are having a downturn in relevance for any number of reasons to any number of countries.
For any number of sports.
And maybe even any number of sports. Good point. We're going to talk about that, but I commend to you, while I'm looking at the comments here, I commend to you Magnus's column today. If you haven't already subscribed, It's not a princely sum. I don't even know what it was because he gave me a free subscription. But Magnus has written a very interesting piece today apropos the Moth worlds and all the youth, the Utes, as they said. What was the name of that movie? My cousin Vinny.
Yeah.
The youth taking over the world and taking over this class and maybe Olympic sailor. $80 a year, Rick Bannerow is telling us, is what it costs. So that's less than $10 a month to subscribe to Magnus Wheatley's terrific. It comes out virtually every day. The guy is very prolific.
Does it come every day?
Almost every day. I get an email when I wake up. He publishes about 2 or 3 in the morning, our time. The 2024 Predict Win Moth Oceania Championship overall. We told you on Friday that Mattias Coutts won the pre-worlds. And we now have a video as it was a lay day. It's now Wednesday down there. And today, Tuesday, was a lay day. And then the Gold Fleet, I think it's the top 50 teams from the whole amalgamation of 148 teams, start racing today and then tomorrow to determine the overall winners in the worlds. Here's the video from the top 2 plus Maddie Rogers, whom we've been talking about, who has already won the world championship because she's the only female who has qualified in the Gold Fleet. Exactly. Yeah. Here she is. And here they are.
Yeah, so we've just finished qualifying and now we're heading into the Gold Fleet racing in the next couple of days. It's going well. I'm happy with my performance so far. We've been putting in a lot of work up to this point, and we've had some beautiful conditions here in Manly, a bit more wind than what we could have asked for, but yeah, so far so good.
Today there was a lot more south in the breeze, so it was much more, like southwesterly, whereas the other days there was quite a lot more west in it, so it meant that the conditions were kind of different, a little bit flatter than the other days, which was quite nice. But yeah, it was an exciting day, and the lay day is going to be welcomed by a lot of the sailors in the boat park.
3 days of racing, the past 3 days, and sort of day 3 of the 6-day event, and tomorrow's a rest day, and then 2 days of Gold Fleet. 2 fleets come together, so all the good guys come together. I think I've just got to sort of stick to my processes and keep it pretty simple, I think. Pretty happy with the speed, so yeah, just keep it simple, yeah.
Hoping to keep the boat together, keep the results consistent. I love competing at this level, and hopefully we get some nice breeze and we finish all the races.
I don't know if Jacob Pye is still a training partner of Mattias Coutts, but they were. I mean, they worked themselves up to the top of the heap, and you look at the results so far.
Right.
Why do I have, there we go. First, Mattias, this is after the preliminary racing. Today starts the Gold Fleet. So all these top 20 and then to the top 50, in fact, will be in the Gold Fleet racing today and tomorrow. Mattias in first, Jacob Pye, his former, but I'm still sure, I'm sure they're still good mates. Richard Didham, whom I have never, I don't know the gentleman, not heard of him. He is in third. From the USA, Jack Bennett from New Zealand, Enzo Balanger from France, Seb Menzies from New Zealand, Otto Henry, John Harris, Harry Melgus.
Wow.
He's an oldster, and he's not that old, is in ninth. Harry from the famous sailing family here in the States. And Richard Schultes, I think it is, from Malta is in 10th. And then on down, Sam Street, Ben Rosenberg, we know, his dad's been on the show. And Jack, again, the youngster, Jack Ferguson, Sebastian Schneider, we know from Switzerland, who's America's Cup guy. Harry Price, our Fozy Harry Price from Australia is in 15th. Also not an old guy, but he's in his 20s. Ryan Littlechild, David Gilmore, Riley Gibbs, superb sailor, Sail GP guy, America's Cup guy. Diego Botín,
I
you
like
all
him.
know that name, and he's in 19th. Bloody hell. And Nikolai Jakobsen, who was doing better in the pre-worlds and struggling a bit now, but also in the hunt. Now, speaking of Harry Price, there he is. The poor guy's been beaten up.
Oh, how'd that happen?
Well, he's had some knee problems. His mom was telling me. This photo from Christian Price. That's Fozy Harry Price, who's banged up, but he still has managed to be in 15th place. He's had some shoulder or elbow problems. I'm not sure which. And we're pulling for him as well, just because he is a Fozy. And that photo, courtesy of Christian Price from a day or so ago. And he's out there sailing and maybe can get into the top 10. We shall see. It would be nice if there was a rather wider mix of cultures, would it not? Yeah, I guess. You're talking about what, in this group of largely Anglos, but there's some non-Anglos in that group, Gordon. By geez, the passion fruit doesn't want it. Rick Manero, by geez, the passion fruit doesn't fall far from the Coutts tree. Look at the jawline. Well, listen to his voice, too. When I first heard that video, I thought, man, that could be Russell. His voice is very similar. But Rob Fry, can you give a Leo update? He can give you. Yeah, Rob, please do. I know Leo's having a tough regatta. He's down lower. I didn't get his standing here in this list. But it's a terrific event, and you got lots of top sailors like Leo Takahashi who are not up there in the top 10, let alone the top 20.
Which is very unusual.
Very unusual indeed. And there is Hattie Rogers, who we said has already, and John said in his report, she's in 37th overall, so she's qualified in the top 50 to go into the Gold Fleet. She's the only female in the Gold Fleet.
Good for her.
And good for her indeed. There's another shot, this courtesy of Sue Ellen Hurling, who's Live, Sail, Die, the major domo for Live, Sail, Die. And thank you, Sue Ellen. She's covering, also sponsoring this regatta, as Live, Sail, Die does do a lot of sponsorship these days, in the land of the long white cloud. And there we are looking again at the Manly Sailing Club, people starting to show up. I don't know what time their racing is today. A great summer scene. As you know, in New Zealand, and Australia for that matter, August is sort of like our August in Europe, or even less so, but a bit here in the U.S. It's that summer holiday month where people and families do tend to take a good bit of the month off, if they can. And it looks like they're getting ready to go. It looks like if you look at the flags, especially the one out there in the middle of the beach, straight on. Looks like there's some real breeze there.
Yeah, that'd be good.
Huh?
That'd be good.
So, chip off the old block. Mattias Coutts, we'll see if anybody can eclipse him, overtake him. Maybe young Mr. Pye can do that as well. And these boats are not, these are the latest Beaker, Paul Beakers from up in Seattle, longtime friend, and he's been on the show. So we shall see. John had a nice chat with Hattie a few years ago about whether to go foiling or 470-ing.
Mm-hmm.
And again, apropos what Magnus Wheatley wrote on his very fine Blogspot Rule 69 blog today, I commend it to you. I was going to excerpt from it, but I really think you should go read the whole damn thing. And while you're at it, subscribe. You got to subscribe to be able to read more than the first couple paragraphs. Mm-hmm. So we shall see. Now, shall we carry on here, Julie, to other down under sailing events?
All right.
Do you know this person? These people?
Oh, yes, indeed.
That is Claire Ridgway with her father and our super Fozy, Alistair Murray.
They both look terrific.
They do look terrific. They are not in their home state of Victoria. They're out in WA, Western Australia, near Perth, as we've been telling you about the Australian National Championship for the Tazar class. Indeed, it is the 50th National Championship. That's a very popular class in the northwest of this country. There's a few in the UK, a few scattered about here and there, but it's a very popular class in Oz. And Alistair has been sailing in this class since forever. There are 30 teams from across Australia, one from Japan, and here is a nice video report.
I've been in Tazars for 45 years, longer than anybody else in the world, actually. And I've had the pleasure for a lot of the journey of sailing with Claire Ridgway, who has a different name to me, but she's my daughter. Claire and I have sailed together probably 15 years solidly.
I was in the Sabos and he plucked me right out at 12 and put me in the Tazar, and yeah, this is where most of my fleet racing's been done.
And this is a bit of a comeback for us today in this series, because we haven't sailed much together over the last 15 years, but to sail with your daughter is pretty special, I can tell you.
We trained really hard for the Worlds last year, and I fell down some stairs and broke a foot 2 days beforehand, so this is the return to glory, yeah.
Well, I've had 9 Tazars now, so I just keep replacing them and just keep sailing them. I just find it a beautiful boat. It's the one design element, lightweight, low maintenance. You can stick it in the garage for a year and pull it out a year later and it's still competitive, but they're a delight to sail.
It's also the perfect boat for a male and female crew. Looking around the boat park at the moment, there are a huge number of father and daughters sailing together, and that's really nice. Anywhere from teenagers through to adults, your kids sailing with their parents. It's a really nice boat that allows for that combination, and I think that's one of the main draw cards of this class, that couples can sail together as well as parents with kids.
And certainly the general camaraderie in the class. You see all your friends here every time we come to a regatta, and it's a big reunion every time. We love it.
There's quite a few couples actually. I met my husband at a Worlds in 2005, and there's at least 3 other couples here today that I think met in the class, and there's quite a few Tazar babies. Quite a few actually, yeah. It's really beautiful out there. The conditions are so spectacular. It's a gorgeous place to sail. We saw a seal out there today. We saw a dolphin yesterday, but it is tricky because it is quite shifty and we are just adjusting to the conditions.
Yeah, today's morning race was light and very shifty, very difficult. And today, in the afternoon, or sorry, the second race, strong wind, brilliant. We love the conditions.
Yeah, we're a very heavy crew, so we want it to blow, and I think this will be our regatta because of that.
Yeah, warm and solid winds and clean water. It's a beautiful place, beautiful.
Beautiful regatta, well done. The daughter is maybe even better at this video stuff than Alistair, and he's plenty good. Nice stuff. Really appreciate that reportage. There are the results. And they've got more racing today. I think a couple of you are watching online the results. It, of course, is Wednesday down there. This is the last day, and they've got 2 or 3 races on tap. You can see that Alistair is in fourth place. Alistair and Claire in fourth place. On a net of 45, so they're not going to win the thing, but they might get onto the podium if they can overtake David Meehan and Rice Edwards on critical path. And of course, he's sailing Al Capitan, or Alistair Murray, but better known, I guess, to his Aussie mates as Al. I didn't know that. A lot of people call him Al. I've never called him Al. I don't call him, you know, your Royal Highness. He's such a longtime good friend. Julia, mic up if you're going to come live. You ready for me to turn your mic back on?
Just about.
Okay, you tell me when you're ready. You got a cough drop in there. You're surviving, aren't you?
Absolutely.
Okay, good. So that's what's going on there. And by the way, not to be outdone, Alistair, that was a hell of a video, by the way. Alistair's submitted his own AAAA because he's taken a day off and gone out to guess where? Alistair's awesome Aussie anecdote from Rottnest Island.
G'day, Tom, Julia, and all of Hosey. Happy New Year to all. We're a week into 2025, and it's already a great year, shaping up well. I thought I'd just send you a quick message and say g'day because I'm in an absolutely fantastic spot. I'm on holidays in West Australia, and I'm just going to quickly walk around this park here on Rottnest Island. Rottnest Island is an island off it's 18 kilometres off the coast of Perth, and I'd never been here. I've been coming to Perth for 50 years, and bucket list item was to always get to Rottnest and here I am. And you'll see as I walk around, you'll see the background, and you get the water in the background, the beautiful beaches. You'll see how glorious this place is. It's famous for its quokkas, apart from the else. It's actually, the name Rottnest comes from the Dutch who found it first, and they named it Rat's Nest. So it's named after rats, but that was because they thought the quokkas were rodents. The quokkas are actually a small wallaby, a marsupial, and the place is famous for them. And they wander around and they come up to you, and we might even see one on this walk. We'll see how we go. If not, I do apologise. What's happening? So I'm heading back to Melbourne in a few days, and I'll be checking in at the Etchells Worlds, which are underway, and I'll be seeing people like John Bertrand and John Kostecki and some other very well-known yachties, and seeing how all that's going at Royal Brighton Yacht Club. That'll be great. Also, I'm in the middle of the Taser Nationals, 35 boats. I'm sailing with my daughter, Claire, which I absolutely love doing, and we're doing okay. We're coming 7th, halfway through the regatta. Quite simply, if it blows hard, we do well, and if it's light and shifty, we don't do so well. We're pretty good heavy weather specialists. I'll actually just do a bit of a fly by the family here. I've got my wife Tracy and son-in-law Hugh and daughter Claire. I'm just going to walk by and say, get them a wave and say, hi guys, hey, family, hello, hello, hello. Not a lot of enthusiasm there. We'll keep walking. And what else? Looking forward very much to the poll. I'll be back in Melbourne for the poll for the Sailing Illustrated Person of the Year, and I think there's been a fantastic amount of discussion about that, a lot of debate, a bit of controversy, which is always good. We'll come up with somebody very, very worthy, and I'll be back for that call and looking forward to it. And I just want to remind people that as far as I see it, my perspective on it is that it's the Sailing Illustrated Yacht Racing Person of the Year, which is not necessarily a sailor, but could well be a sailor, but it will be somebody great, and I'm looking forward to that discussion. I hope I gave you a bit of a flyby there, Rottnest, and you enjoyed it. A really quick message from me, and looking forward to getting back to Melbourne. Looking forward to closing out the Taser Nationals with some good strong wins and some good results, and enjoy my holiday. See you guys. Great talking to you. Bye.
Who would have thought that, let's see, 40 years after I was at Rottnest Island, someplace that Alistair, I'm just happy to have been someplace Alistair's never been. So we were down there preparing for the 87 Cup in 85, 6, 7. That's 40 years ago, right? What were you doing? Well, we were preparing for the Cup, 87 Cup with America 2. I was executive director of New York Yacht Club's America 2. And on the weekends or on the days off, we'd take one of the, not every time, but we'd take one of the team chase boats, fill it up with people and maybe some adult beverages and some, we'd go out there and have a barbecue on the beach at Rat's Nest. Now, you know what's out there? Did he say, I think he did mention, you know what is out there? Quokkas. And you know what a quokka is? No. Well, there is his granddaughter, Emmy, who found lots of quokkas. They look like big rats, frankly, which is why the Dutch named the place Rottnest. And they're very nice animals. You walk up to them and you can play with them, and they don't bite you, apparently. And if they do bite you, it's not too deadly. I don't know if any of them have diseases or not. But that's quokka. Quokka.
I saw that the other day.
I've turned your mic off, Julia, because you're struggling. You got your cold, and I don't want you to have to talk.
Right.
Okay, so we go back here. Rob Fry, Leo didn't race. He had an injury the day before. This is in the Moths, back to the Moths. Thank you, Rob Fry, who's Leo's dad, because he's got Sail GP coming up in 10 days, and he does not want to be sick, hurting, injured for that. He wants to be fully recovered, so hopefully he will be as we wrap up Alistair's awesome Aussie anecdote for today. Thank you, Alistair, and thank you to the Royal Naval Band of Australia. Okay. And he's mastered You don't have to say a thing. I've turned your mic down. You can just look pretty. There you go. Are you ready to talk now?
Yeah.
Because you were having a coughing. Maybe it was that video in Rotsnet.
Yeah.
So it's caused
Probably.
I feel they're going to think I'm a bad person that I dragged you down here to do the show. You tell them that you said, I'm coming down. I have FOMO.
Yep.
I have the worst case of FOMO of anybody you've ever met.
That's true. It's always true.
And I want to be there for the show and say hi to everybody and be part of it and be seen and be heard. And
right.
So it's not my doing.
No.
Okay. Take good care of yourself, Julia. I don't want to be blamed.
For giving me the go.
We got all these other people hurt and injured, and we got you now. So let's do. Okay, that's chip off the old block. That's the down under, except for one more. In fact, two more. Look at this. Last leg. We're an hour and only 10 minutes into this show. It's going quickly, Julia.
Mm-hmm.
The last leg to Gloucester, and we're going to feature, guess what? The upcoming Sail GP, which is the 18th to the 19th of this month. It's season 5, event 2. There are the standings so far. The Kiwis are on top, no doubt. For this, remember, this is the first time they've had a regatta in Auckland. They've been down in Wellington before this.
Mm-hmm.
So this will be a deal to have the Kiwis on top of the leaderboard after that first regatta in Dubai. Emirates GBR, Dylan Fletcher in second on the strength of his performance, their performance in Dubai, and Taylor Canfield, the American team, is in third, followed by Diego, who's the Spanish guy, and he, of course, is there in Manly, pursuing the Moth World title. And on down the rest of the list, Canada, I've got to say it right properly. Giles Scott, having moved over to that team, and on and on and on. Season 5 standings. And here is a nice video about the team we're all hoping is going to, not so good in the first regatta. They were 11th, the first female helm, Martina Grail. And here is a nice introduction of their team, Martina Grail's Mubadala BRA, not for Brazil, you croutons, for Brazil Sail GP team.
My name is Martina Grail, and I'm sailing for Mubadala Brazil Sail GP team. I started sailing very young after my brother, and then when I was age 17, I went into Olympic sailing, so I guess that's when it became professional in my life. After 4 Olympic campaigns and 2 medals, I was looking into like what could possibly be next, and like I've watched all the races from Sail GP, they're really interesting. And when this opportunity came, it seemed like it was like the best direction I could possibly take. So there's nothing like this race.
Back in September, Alan approached me to join, the first Brazilian team in the league. We went back and forth a few times, had some really good chats with Pete and Blair and the Black Foils team. The timing of this was right for me.
I've been windsurfing 40 for a long time, since 2016. In 2020, I started my Olympic campaign towards Paris 2024, and I managed to qualify Brazil and qualify myself. It was a really long journey and really nice, super interesting. The period I was resting before the games in Brazil, I just got a call. Martin talked about you. My heart felt warm. I was like, I can't believe this is going on. And before he even finished the sentence, I was like, yes. I didn't look at my calendar. I didn't ask any. I was just like, yes, that's it. I want to be part of it. And now we're here in Dubai for the first race.
Martina Grail, she's going to lead the fleet around.
Sailing with Martine, it's a real privilege to try and help her on this journey in Sail GP. For me, that's really motivating and a challenge that I'm really excited for.
She's super talented, really hard worker. She has everything what it takes to win a Sail GP.
Welcome to Martine.
She definitely deserves to be here and deserves to be driving a boat.
In this very beginning, the goal is to bond together.
The vibe we have in our team is great. Everyone's super happy, super excited to be here.
Everyone in the team is super determined to win, but we've got to be real and we've got to take a step back and understand that we are a new team.
This is a whole different monster. It's an incredible experience.
I know sailing is a game of experience, and we're trying to get that.
That regatta is going to be right off the viaduct. Here is the plan. Nice video, by the way. I know, Julia, I dedicate that video to you because I know how much you love the Grail family.
Yeah, absolutely.
So they're the only Brits that or Aussies or Kiwis or Anglos that I know of that you're in love with, the Brazilian boys. There's something nice about Brazilian boys.
There is.
I wouldn't know myself, but in any event, Julia, let's carry on here.
We won't discuss that.
We won't discuss that. We have the official course diagram. You can see the bridge there on the left, Auckland Harbor Bridge, and West Haven Marina. There, where I'm pointing, is what, Julia? Royal New Zealand Yacht Squadron. It's not on the map. The tech site is here on the Wynyard Quarter. Here's Viaduct Harbor. There is, when I lean in, I can't, my mic is above my head.
Yeah.
So this is right up against there's Bayswater across the bay at the top on the North Shore and Stanley Point. And it's a cool race course. And normally the breeze blows from right to left on this, but it can also blow left to right. But they can move that course around, and no doubt Ian Murray will do a good job. Is Ian running? Yeah, Ian's running this stuff, I think, for Russell. So it's a nice layout. And Rob Fry is saying that Sail GP training with the T-foil starts on Monday. So this coming Monday, they've got a week. Julia, Ted Ryman says you're sounding husky. Yeah. You got your hand on your chest like you're... Again, don't blame me. I didn't drag you down here. Quokkas carry herpes, salmonella, cryptococcus neoformans, and quackapox. Well, you don't want to get quacked, I guess.
No.
And the question was asked by Joe Holtzman if they're marsupials. Quokkas are marsupials and not rodents, but that was an easy mistake for the Dutch to make back then. The Grail family are sailing legends, Blake Middleton. Totally agree. There's Alan McGarry. Hello, Alan. Speaking of Canadians, are you happy that your prime minister has stepped down, or you want to...
He's in Manzanillo.
Oh, he's in Manzanillo, in Mexico.
There's a great hotel at Manzanillo.
Oh, Julia, stop talking. You're making us all feel bad. Okay. There is the race course, and that is in New Zealand. That will be on their Saturday and Sunday, the 18th and 19th of January, so just a little over 10 days from now. And the racing is 1600 to 1730 New Zealand time, both days, which is in San Francisco the days before, of course. That's Friday and Saturday, our time, at 1900 to 2030.
Oh, that's good.
7 p.m. to 8:30. So that's a good time for us. And the next question that'll come from the Fozy is, are you going to run a watch party? And I don't know. We can think about that. Let me think about that and see. Andrew Pindar is headed down there. Looking forward to getting to Auckland next week. Please shout out if anyone is around and available for a catch-up. Our super Fozy Andrew Pindar. And Alan McGarry, who's a Royal Canadian Yacht Club stalwart, also lives out in the plains. Not the plains, you call it? He's in Alberta or Saskatchewan, one of those. He's got a big place out there in Midwestern Canada. He's saying, yes, very happy for the federal government shift that is coming. As I said, most of our sailing friends and hockey friends in Canada are happy for the change. So there it is. That's what's going on down there. And that is the end of our Down Under segments for today. But
Lots going on, though.
There is indeed. Well, it's the middle of their summer, right?
Yeah.
Calgary, Alan McGarry is saying. Calgary, where, you know what goes on. Don't talk, Julia. You know what goes on in Calgary. The Stampede. In, I guess, August. I was there for the Winter Olympics. They put on a terrific Winter Olympics back in about 8 was it, Alan? Tell me. Hello, John Mangino. Hello, all. And let's switch to one other last leg. This one in Macau. You know what this is, Julia? Macau hosts the season opener. Remember James Pleasant was telling us about that?
Yeah.
Hosting the season opener for the 25th anniversary World Match Racing Tour. Their opening event for the 25th anniversary.
Interesting place.
Starts tomorrow, the 8th. And of course, it's tomorrow there already. The 2025 World Match Racing Tour season kicks off this week at the all-new Macau Match Cup. First time they've had an event there. 8th through the 12th of January, hosted alongside the annual MGM, Macau International Regatta, organized by the Sports Bureau of the Macau SAR government, MGM and Ursa Major Sailing Event Management. Do I get extra credit for that, James? Naming all your sponsors. 12 world-class match racing teams will compete in the inaugural Macau match racing event, including recently crowned 8-time match racing world champion Ian Williams from Great Britain and his Pindar, not to be confused with Andrew Pindar, although it's the same guy, Pindar by Manuport Logistics team. So Ian will be there in Macau with his Pindar by Manuport Logistics team of Richard Sydenham, Gerard Mitchell, and John Gunderson. They will be racing. They will be favorites for that event, although there's Gavin Brady and there's a bunch of other good guys there. I think EJ is there, Nick EJ. That starts tomorrow, the 8th, or today. It's the 8th there now. The 8th through the 12th, the 25th, and the first ever.
Where can we see that?
Well, I don't know. I don't think they have live TV, but it's also the start of the 25th World Match Racing Tour season. Bravo Zulu to them, to you, James Pleasance, and all involved. I've been to Macau. Have you been to Macau? To gamble? What'd you do there?
Oh, I had to do 1 or 2 hands, but I'm not a gambler.
I was there for a car race. I think I've said this before. They have in Macau, tell me what, it's after the F1 season is over. They have an F3 street race. It's sort of like the Monaco street race for F3 cars, the smaller, the junior version of F3 or F3000. I can't remember what they are. In any event, that regatta is starting as we speak in Macau. I wonder if Lily's going to be there doing, in fact, there it is. There's the answer up in the chat. You usually find most answers in the chat. Lily is in Macau at the moment. That's good to hear. So maybe she's going to be doing some stuff as well.
That's great.
F3, Ted Ryman is confirming. Do they still have that race, Ted, in Macau tell me when, October or November for F3 cars, that formula? F1 is just an FIA formula, and F3 is a lower horsepower, smaller car, kind of a junior training car, to F1. Has been for years and years. Okay, Julia, that gets us to the Delta block, the D block. Ted Ryman confirming that race does still go on, street race in Macau. It's a lot of fun. Good event. We had good fun there.
I bet you did. Yes.
Whiskey Tango Foxtrot. And apropos resolutions, yes, you can still make resolutions, right? You can make resolutions. And of course, there's a day coming up here, Julia. Is it next Monday?
Somebody said it's tomorrow. It's quit day.
Quit day. Is it this Friday? It's some number.
But it was the 12th, so that was be the end of the Christmas.
No, it's not the 12th day of Christmas. It's later in January. 12th day. I took all the Christmas decos down.
I know.
See, they're down out of here. There's no more poinsettia in the studio, and I took the rest of the Beach Street Yacht Club decos down yesterday on the 12th day of Christmas.
I'm proud of you.
Although there's an argument whether that's the 5th or the 6th of January, depending upon whether you count Christmas itself.
I've always assumed it was the 6th.
Inclusive or not?
I've always assumed it was the 6th.
I did too. But you can still do resolutions. My resolution is to drink less alcohol. It's New Year's, not April Fool's. Ed Worley sent that one. I thought it was a good way to kick off today's not quite mid-January, first week of January, Whiskey Tango Foxtrot. And then there was this one, since we are a drinking show with a sailing habit. Do alcoholics run in your family?
No, they sail.
No, they sail.
That's a lovely one. That's a lovely one.
Rick Bannerow thinks his resolution is the 14th. Blake thinks Friday. This Friday is Quitter's Day.
Okay.
John Emmett, who's been asking for resolutions, says that very few Fozy have posted their resolution. I don't think you're going to get many Fozy to do that. But you can do this one. You can take a resolution not to drink. Now that our Surgeon General has come out, Julia, and said that alcohol is bad for, it could cause cancer. Well, we've known that.
Mm-hmm.
And it could cause, and so what are the number of days of your life that it might shorten if you drink? 2 days?
No.
Yeah.
5.
5 days? Is that what it was?
I think, yeah.
Well, I can say as a now for a year plus as a non-drinker, I don't care if you drink or not. And
your liquor cabinet shows that.
yeah, well, exactly. We're getting we keep tequila in stock for you.
Yes.
And we keep some of. Look at this. We keep a bottle. We better not give any to you today. You've got a cold.
Oh, I especially need it today.
You think bourbon cream would help your cold?
Mm.
I don't know about that, but we got some of Clayton Emily's bourbon cream here in the studio. January 6th is Insurrection Day.
Uh-oh.
Rick Banneros says Alcoholics Anonymous is for quitters. No resolution until the 20th of January, Alan Long is saying. Okay, good stuff. 5 years for heavy drinking. Is that it? Well, there is now and not that I, again, care. Everybody can be their own boss, but they say that by quitting drinking by 65, and I didn't quit till I was 70, so that's probably why I am demented, that you can stave off dementia by stopping drinking at least by 65, which is the same reason you probably shouldn't drink before you're, tell me what, 20.
Tell me somebody.
While your brain is still,
I've never heard of anybody
developing.
celebrating a 100th birthday who doesn't have a drink a day.
My grandmother, who lived to be 99, didn't drink. She was a member of the Christian Temperance Union, Women's Christian Temperance Union, WCTU, back in the early part of the last century. She lived to be 99, my dad's mom, and she discovered a Manhattan, perfect Manhattan. What do you call that? It was a Southern Manhattan Comfort.
Oh, Southern
Comfort. Southern Comfort Manhattan. She discovered that at about age 65 and decided that one of those before her evening cribbage game went very well.
Indeed.
After dinner, but before cribbage. And then she discovered that 2 went even better. After cribbage and after the first maybe game of cribbage, you had to do another one. And that called for another Southern Comfort Manhattan. Southern Comfort.
Not a Southern Comfort.
That was sent in by Bob Walker, Julia, up there in the Texas Panhandle, North Texas. Now, this one, Gordon Smith's been asking me when I was going to run it. Today's the day, Gordon. Thank you for sending this in.
Oh, no.
I have a half brother. The guy asked different mothers. You can read it out. You stuck it through.
Shark attack. God, that's really awful.
That's good. Talking about all this alcohol, Gordon Smith's raising a glass to the Women's Christian Temperance Union. Where's the glass? Clark says, it's like the old Yiddish saying, it's like giving chicken soup to a corpse. It might not help, but it
can't hurt.
I like that one too, Gordon. Thank you for sending that in. I've been saving it for a moment like today.
Yeah.
And finally, to end on a good one, a proper one. We got this is from Mark Husted, who I haven't heard a lot from lately, but Mark in Sweden, who is an Aussie living in Göteborg, said, "Did you know that water is the most essential element of life? Yes, because without water, you can't
go sailing."
Somebody, I don't know what that said in the original. Can you tell what that said in the original? Somebody photoshopped that in or cribbed that in. Go sailing. Good one. Mark Husted sent that in. He's Aussie now for many years, living up in Göteborg, Gothenburg in Sweden. Julie, that gets us to the finish line. We're an hour and 28 minutes in for this one, so hour and a half show. That'll be good. We got to get you back upstairs and maybe get you a stiff drink.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Take a long nap. But at the finish line, you like to say,
please like, follow, and share, especially share.
Indeed. Comments are welcome, even in replay. Ken Saban said he went for 30 years alcohol-free. Tom didn't like my barbecue. Yeah, Ted Ryman sent one that Julia, not only the Ted Ryman's barbecue post, I'll show it to you, but I wouldn't put it on the air because you would think poorly of me.
I probably would.
It was funny as hell, as Ryman often is.
Always is.
I'll describe it. Can I describe it?
Can you?
He's got a lady who's in barbecuing.
Yeah.
and it's breezy. And this would have been particularly good for Australia because it's, put a shrimp on the barbie, middle of the summer down there in Australia, New Zealand. And her skirt blows up, and she says, oh, he's really going to like it. Now it'll smell like barbecue. Give a finger wag to Ted for even sending that to me, and give me credit for not posting it. Two fingers up. Ted, that was terrific. But, that one I don't think was correct. I don't think it was correct. Who are correct, what are correct, are our Fozy. We thank you all very much for your support via patreon.com/join/Sailing Illustrated. Thanks for your support. It does keep us in our humble studio on the air. We thank you all very much indeed, as we also thank those who gave us audio, video, and images for today's show. There's a long list. And spare a thought for John Sangmeister, Fog Machine is saying, Lance Burke, because Gladstone's talking about barbecues. Apparently the wind and the fire in Long Beach is epic, and that's probably why we don't see John on here. I hope all of you in SoCal are doing okay.
He should
and staying safe.
He should be all right if he's really on the water.
Well, you just never know if it's, I don't know. Feel better soon, Mark Holland is saying to you, Julia.
Thank you, gentlemen.
John Emmett's saying, see you Friday. Hopefully the lights will be working at the Emberhorn farmhouse. And 2 thumbs up and 2 big toes up for today's show. Thank you, Rick Banner, and thanks for your contribution at the top of the show. Ted, you dirty bar steward. Tom, you're a lightweight. Julia, if I'd put that one up, you would have thought poorly of.
Yeah, and it's old.
You know what? It is. Emmett thinks my description was worse than the graphic. It might have been. Final thought, Julia. You don't have to if you don't want to.
Oh well, I love this place, so it's fun. Thanks for sharing it with me.
Thanks, Jonathan Frank. Thanks, as we said, Rick Bannerow. Thanks to all of you. We appreciate it very much. We hope you have a great rest of your week. All this racing going on down in Australia and New Zealand. One last look at the Manly sailing. Oh, look, the beach is filled in.
Right.
I love these webcams. Little do these people know they're being watched on a worldwide television feed as they're starting to put out to the for yacht racing to the race course. Breeze may have gone right just a little bit looking at the flags. Big fleet. I think there's close to 75 boats in this event. 11:30 in the morning down there on Wednesday. Jonathan Frank says, love you, Julia, in the comments.
Oh, I love you too.
A beautiful scene. A beautiful scene at the Manly Sailing Club on the Whangaparoa Peninsula. That's just fun to say, Whangaparoa. Fun to say. Thanks, everybody. Hope to see you on Friday. Same time, same channel. In the meantime, go sailing. And if you can and do, sail fast, sail safe, and have fun. Ciao for now.